Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the president of the Philippines, is trending again this week. And if you understand the history of his family, you'll understand why his name rises so quickly whenever new controversies, reports, or political events surface. Marcos Jr. is not just a leader. He is the living continuation of one of the most polarizing political legacies in modern Asian history. This week, Marcos Jr. is now trending because of renewed scandals and resurfaced debates surrounding corruption and some historical accountability. But to understand the intensity of the whole reaction, we have to go back to how he became the figure he is today. Marcos Jr. was born into what some would say extraordinary privilege. His father, Ferdinand Marcos Sr., ruled the Philippines for 2 decades. For some, Marcos Sr.'s era represents a time of grand infrastructure projects and modernization. But for others, it represents dictatorship, martial law, and one of the most painful chapters in the nation's democratic history. Growing up in this environment, it shaped Marcos Jr.'s worldview. Because as a child, he lived in luxury. We're talking access to foreign education, access to global diplomats, and exposure to political power. But behind the privilege was pressure. He was expected to inherit not just influence, but a legacy. And whether he wanted it or not, the Marcos name would indeed define the path of his life. After the People's Power Revolution in 1986, the Marcos family was forced into exile. For many families, exile ends political ambitions. But the Marcos family is not an ordinary political family. Over time, they returned to the Philippines, slowly rebuilding their influence. They began with local positions, then regional offices, and eventually national roles. Marcos Jr. became governor, then congressman, and then senator. And every step of his political rise was watched closely. He was praised by supporters who believed he was restoring stability, and criticized by opponents who feared he was rewriting history. But his presidential campaign revealed something important. Political memory does not stay the same across generations. As we know, many young voters now did not live through martial law. They did not experience the arrests, the fear, or the censorship that defined that era. Instead, they saw Marcos Jr. as a fresh alternative, separate from his father's past. When Marcos Jr. won the presidency, it symbolized not just a political victory, but a return of a dynasty that many assumed was finished. And that is why he trends so easily. Every issue surrounding him is magnified by the weight of history. This week's trending moment centers around new allegations tied to historical corruption and political responsibility. Funny thing is, whenever these topics emerge, whether it's about secrecy, finances, or accountability, Marcos Jr. becomes a central figure in global discussions about governance and memory. Supporters argue that he should be judged independently from his father, that he represents a new beginning, and that his focus on unity and diplomacy shows leadership. Whilst critics argue that the Marcos family has avoided accountability, and that unresolved past crimes still shape the suffering of many Filipino families. This debate keeps his name in the headlines, not just in the Philippines, but internationally. Marcos Jr.'s presidency is unique because it lives in 2 time periods at once. The present, which is where he governs, negotiates, and makes policies. And the past, which is where his family's actions continue to influence how people see him. This constant tension ensures that any controversy involving him becomes a national debate. Every press release, every leaked document, every historical anniversary, and every speech. Everything is interpreted through the same question. Can you separate the son from the father? Whether the answer is yes or no depends on who you ask. But this divide is exactly why Marcos Jr. continues to trend almost weekly. He stands at the center of an ongoing struggle over identity, memory, forgiveness, and political power. This week's trending moment is not isolated. It is part of a long, complicated biography, one that links the past to the present, one that reflects the unresolved wounds of a nation, and one that will continue producing headlines for years to come.